Thank you, Mirka, for your mind-provoking talk and for inviting me to comment on it. It's been my great pleasure to follow your career and success over the years. And here are my comments. Just like you put it in your speech, global anti-capitalist perspective is necessary if we are to survive as a species. During the past year, a virus known as COVID-19 halted the world. It's a biological fact that we cannot wish away, but it has had tremendous social and political consequences worldwide. We cannot change the mechanisms the virus works and mutates, but like navigators who sense the strength of the wind and its direction, we can take those laws into account in our actions. Neglecting them can result in a fatal multi-organism disease, like a mistake in navigation can cause a shipwreck. Therefore, I must sail the ship and take the storm caused by the virus into account in at least two ways. First, I may reason that life is dangerous in any case, continue to meet people and ignore possible consequences for my health. Second, I can think that health is vital and therefore I want to follow safety measures, wash my hands, keep social distance and wear a mask. As I cannot escape the fact of COVID-19, I still have the freedom to choose what effects I allow it to have on me and my actions. Besides, by following the necessary safety measures, I take care of myself and my fellow beings, and by doing so, carry my collective responsibility. Indeed, many have had to consider how to live, not to become infected or infect others. The recommendations of health experts have been clear, but humans are not machines. They take the official measures in their judgment and relate them to the totality of their individual lives. The weighing of these options on human decision and meaning-making interests me as a qualitative researcher and a social scientist. The options can be seen in a continuum where at the other end, people live their lives as usual, and at the other follow safety measures quite literally. The rationales and logics for these options vary. Perhaps the most exciting answers come from the unresponsible and individualistic risk takers who utter, yes, of course, there is a risk of infection, and it makes me think, but even then. The philosopher G.H. von Wright has presented a general model of action in which he distinguishes the result and consequence of an act. On the one hand, the result of the act of opening a window is that a certain window is open. These consequences are states of affairs which by virtue of causal necessity come about when the act has been done. On the other hand, a consequence of the act of opening a window may be that the temperature in the room goes down, or as the Finnish poet Pentti Saarikoski writes about a possible consequence, the bird could fly in. What makes the logic of human action and decision-making related to the COVID-19 so special is their collective nature. My individual decisions are associated with a tight global network of others' choices. The post-pandemic time will finally tell if the window has been open or closed, and how many black COVID-19 ravens have flown in. The black ravens can enter the neoliberal university too in these precarious times. In the social sciences unit, we managed to transform our teaching online early on. Even during the pandemic, my workplace, Tampere University, succeeded to produce enough degrees to fulfill its promise to the Ministry of Education and Culture, the largest funder of the universities in Finland. We had proven to be good academic workers, perhaps too good, for the success came at a price. The Tampere University's campus plan, approved by the university board in fall 2020, states that, and I quote, "The experience gained through the COVID-19 pandemic highlights the need for flexible learning and working solutions, in particular, where digital and physical environments merge to support the users' daily lives and well-being." Quote ends. In addition, the plan includes the promise, and I quote, "Tampere University's goal is to be carbon neutral by 2030. As part of the target, its office and teaching spaces will be reduced by 25%. Quote ends. I guess no one sees anything wrong with the carbon neutrality, but many made the math and calculated 1 + 1, equaling that the university would eliminate our faculty building. In fact, carbon neutrality may be mere smoke and mirrors, a true reason being cost savings under the neoliberal regime. The campus plan in our university is another example of the new management university, managerial capitalist university. To add insult to injury, due to the COVID-19 restrictions on the campus, the university managers could launch the plan without fearing that we teachers and students occupy the university building, as we did a few years ago. Consequently, it's possible that we lose our office spaces, seminar rooms, lecture halls, and more importantly, our sense of community, and perhaps turn into digital nomads without any other social existence than our digital presence. Many might feel betrayed. Maybe we managed to do our job too well and won the race to the bottom. The capitalist neoliberal university, as the world, doesn't seem to follow the proverb, "The harder you work, the luckier you get," but quite reverse. Perhaps tomorrow we don't say that video killed the radio star, but that digital shift ate our office space. In the future, we might not teach in the shadow of the COVID-19 anymore, or under the mango tree as Paulo Freire. In Finland it's too cold for that, but carry on our solitary talk only in the digital sphere. I do know the world out there is much grittier and uglier than this, and the ills of the world are vast. But God is in detail. We cannot take our position as educational and social scientists for granted anymore. For it's not only the managerial university that is after the critical scholar, but also the news media. Believe it or not, we have only one national newspaper in Finland, Helsingin Sanomat, plus few other regionals. A couple of days ago, Helsingin Sanomat published an editorial in which one of the editors-in-chief stated as follows, and I quote, "The farther one goes from the core of science, to the social, humanistic, and ultimately artistic research, the less empirical evidence there is in academic competition and the more ideological the research becomes. The editor then shared the editorial on Twitter and wrote, "It seems that this editorial has raised diverse debate. The speculative assumption in the text was that academic competition would seem to have a greater tendency to become idealized when there are no clear criteria in the field to compare theories. Ideologized, to become ideologized, yes, when there are no clear criteria in the field to compare theories." Quote ends. A sociologist then asked, and I quote, "I continue your speculation by asking, what is, in your view, the clear criteria to compare those theories in science, lacking in social sciences, which prevents the power of ideologies?" The editor replies, "Scientific method." Then the philosopher of science intervenes. "Would you like to tell us what is the scientific method?" We philosophers of science, despite many attempts, haven't been able to find one. This was also a quote. "It seems to me that the powerful national media outlet's mighty editor has aligned with the populist right, the conservative right, the racist right, and the Nazis. And we have had our wake-up call in so many places, in the biological, psychological, social, and political spheres. We cannot stay in our compartments any longer. We need what Mirka was talking about, pluriversity. We need to join forces. As Mirka and Fred Boateng put it in a few years back, and I quote, this quote ends my comments, "Scholars need to stop engaging in research activities for research's sake only. Research needs to serve the public, citizens, students, parents, teachers, and so on. Social science research should be a collaborative effort and a form of public science. It's time to consider how to increase methodological attentiveness and the potential of collaborative inquiry that builds on collective yet contradictory stories, abstract and material life experiences." Thank you so much and congratulations, Mirka. La lucha continúa.